Hi everyone. So before we get started with lesson 2, we are going to quickly go over the lesson 1 homework because I want to make sure that you all have the correct answers. So this says use the screen shown to the right to answer questions 1 through 4. Don't forget parentheses around coordinates. Remember, it is so important if you are writing a coordinate down on a sheet of paper, it needs to have parentheses. In order for a point to be correctly written as a coordinate, it has to have parentheses. So in number 1, it says, what are the coordinates for the bottom right corner? So that's talking about the bottom right. So that's this point right here. So using our clues here, if I know the top right corner is 400, 400, this must be 400, 0. Okay, so that's your coordinates. Number 2, what are the coordinates for the top left corner? So this one right here. So again, using our clues, this must be 0, 400. Okay. Number 3, what are the coordinates for the midpoints of all 4 sides of the screen? So you could have done this one of 2 ways. Since it's on a grid, you could just count, or you can actually do the math for it. So this is our midpoint on the left, our midpoint on the bottom, our midpoint on the right, and our midpoint at the top. So if you think everything's really based on 400 and half of 400 is 200, so this would be 200, 400. This would be 400, 200. This one would be 200, 0. And this would be 0, 200. Okay, so our bottom, 200, 0. Our top, 200, 400. Our left, 0, 200. And our right, 400, 200. Number 4 says the approximate coordinates for the location of the character. So if this is 200 and that's 0, each one of these lines is 40. So 40, 80, 120, 160, same thing. 40, 80, 100, 40, 80, 120, 160, 200. So my point, the coordinates for the character here would be 160, 200. Okay, number 5, find the midpoint between the points 20, 80 and 50, 100. So midpoint is just the average of our x's. So 20 plus 50 divided by 2, which gives me 70 divided by 2, which equals 35. And then the average of our y's, 80 plus 100 divided by 2 equals 180 divided by 2, which is 90. So my midpoint, capital M, would be the point 35, 90. Okay. Same thing for number 6. Find the midpoint between the points 90, 115, and 0, 35. So the midpoints between there, 90 plus 0 divided by 2 equals 90 divided by 2, which is 45. And then our y's would be 115 plus 35 divided by 2, which equals 150 divided by 2, which would give me 75. So my midpoint, capital M, is 45, 75. Okay. And then for number 7, which direction or directions will the character move if each of the following occurs? So your choices are either up, down, left, and right. And then your original point is always x, y. So if I think I'm starting at x, y every time, we want to pay attention to how is x, y changing in the question. So in A, I'm adding 5 to x. So if I add 5 to x on the grid, coordinate grid, if I add 5 to x, that means I'm moving it to the right. So I went right 5. So in B, I'm adding 10 to Y. So Y means I'm going up or down. So since I'm adding 10, that means I went up 10. Okay. Letter C, X minus 3. So I'm subtracting 3 from X, which means I'm going left 3. Letter D, I'm subtracting 2 from Y. So since Y is moving up or down, this is going down 2. Okay. And then in E, F, and G, I'm changing X and Y, which means there's 2 parts to these answers. I'm going to have a left or right and an up or down. So X plus 7 means we're moving right 7. And then Y minus 2 means we're going down 2. X minus 1 means we're going left 1. Y plus 9 means we're going up 9. And then X plus 5 means we're going right 5. And Y plus 8 means we're going up 8. Okay? So make sure you have the correct homework answers just so you can use them later on. Today we're going to look at lesson 2. We're not going to do the whole lesson. We're just going to do the first couple pages. So again, just like with lesson 1, we started with vocab. So we're going to do definitions again. So a value is a specific piece of data such as 5.1 or hello. Right? A function is a mathematical object that takes in some input and produces an output. So I put something into the function and I get something out when I do that. A mathematical expression is a computation in arithmetic involving plus sign, a minus sign, and then these ones are going to be different. When we're doing computer coding, you don't see the typical multiplication symbol that we're used to. We see an asterisk. Okay, so it's not just an X. And then for division, we use the slash. Okay, so it's not the X or the division symbol with the dots. Okay, when we see the word evaluate, this says perform the computation in an expression producing an answer. Right? And then programming language is a set of rules for writing code that a computer can evaluate. Okay, so it's a set of rules for writing code that a computer can evaluate. All right, editor. Software that allows you to write and evaluate code, okay? The software that we're going to be using is called WeScheme. Now, there are many different programs and software that you can use to write code, but for our purposes and what we're going to be doing in this class, we're going to use a program called WeScheme, okay? It is one that you all can access. You just need a Google account, which we will talk about in a few lessons, but it's called WeScheme. And in WeScheme, there are 2 main things you need to pay attention to. There is a definitions area and an interactions area. So on the right-hand side here, this is a screenshot of what a typical WeScheme editor software would look like. The definitions area is the text box at the left of the editor, and that is where we write definitions. Okay, so in the definitions area is where we put the definitions. The interactions area is the text box at the right, and that's where we enter expressions to be evaluated. Okay, so you really just have to figure out, am I trying to define something with what I'm writing, or am I trying to evaluate something with what we're writing? That's your main difference. A legal expression is code that follows the code rules okay? And an error message is information from the computer about any errors, or we could say problems in the code. So maybe you forgot a parenthesis, or you had too many parentheses, or you forgot a number. The program, the software itself will give you an error message letting you know that there is a problem with the code you have written. Okay? So now let's look at something called a circle of evaluation. One way to indicate the order of operations in an expression is to first draw the expression as a diagram. This diagram is called a circle of evaluation. Here you can see an example of a circle of evaluation for the math expression 4 minus 5. Circles of evaluation show the structure that's going on inside an expression. Okay, so if we look over here at the right, this would be the expression 4 minus 5. Okay? All circles of evaluation have two rules. The first rule is that each circle must have one function: add, subtract, multiply, divide, which goes at the top of the circle. So you see how the minus sign is above that line? Circle 2, the numbers are written under that function in order from left to right. Okay, so if we go back to the example, the expression was 4 minus 5, meaning the first number I write in the circle is the 4, and the second number is the 5, because we're evaluating it left to right. So in number 1, this says, which rule does the circle of evaluation to the right break? And that would be rule 1, because the function has to be at the top, not in between the numbers. Okay, so if I wanted to correctly write this circle of evaluation, we're going to make our line. The plus is going to go on the top. And then from left to right, we have 6, 7. So this would be 6 plus 7. All right, so in number 2, we're going to try drawing the circle of evaluation for each, and then we're going to evaluate them. So the expression here is 6 times 4. So I draw my circle. I make my line. Then remember, our times is not the typical X, it's the asterisk. And then from left to right, we have 6, 4. So 6 times 4 is 24. All right. 7 minus 10. So we draw our circle, we draw our line. Our function is subtraction. And then my numbers left to right, 7, 10. So 7 minus 10 is negative 3. The next one, 5 plus 8. Draw my circle. My function is addition, so I have plus, left to right, 5, 8. And then 5 plus 8 is 13. All right. 351 divided by negative 1. So we use our circle, make our line. My function is division. So remember, our division is a slash. Left to right, we have 351 and then negative 1. So my evaluation gives me negative 351. Okay, so here you have an example for all 4 functions: multiply, subtract, add, divide. Number 3, to use multiple functions in the same expression, we can combine circles of evaluation. So if you look, I have a circle inside of the circle. To correctly follow the order of operations, we must evaluate the inner circles first. So basically you're working inside out. So you're going to do the inside circles and then come outside. Can you evaluate the following circle of evaluation? So first thing we need to do is figure out what this circle would be. So the new circle of evaluation, after I evaluate that, I have division as my function. We have 351 here. And then on the right-hand side of this circle, I have to do 4 minus 5 first. So 4 minus 5 would give me -1. So my evaluation would really be 351 divided by -1. That's really what I want to do. So my answer would be -351. Okay, so you want to go inside out. So if I look at number 4, finish writing the circle of evaluation shown here so that it represents the quantity 23 plus 7 times the quantity 13 minus 5. So each of these pieces is going to get its own circle of evaluation before we do the big circle of evaluation. So if we look at the left-hand side here, I already started the first circle. So we need to finish the first one according to the first set of parentheses. So that's 23 plus 7. Okay, then my second circle of evaluation inside of here has to work with our second set of parentheses. So the function is subtraction, and I have 13 minus 5. So if we think about these two things, I want to work inside out, meaning I have to do the addition and the subtraction before I do the multiplication. So 23 plus 7 is going to give me 30. And then I want to do 13 minus 5, and that gives me 8. Okay, and then our function that's between these is multiplication. So 30 times 8 gives me 240. So that is the actual solution to this problem. Okay, so I can have as many circles of evaluation that I want inside of a problem. We just have to make sure that when we're evaluating them, we work from the inside out. All right. There is no new homework tonight. Make sure you guys are checking School Tool, that you're completely up to date. Use the grade reports that I printed for you if you're a hybrid student. If you are a remote student and you are struggling trying to figure out what assignments you may owe, send me an email, send me a message on Schoology, and I will get back to you with help. Okay? If anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out. If not, have a wonderful night.